was like, that is so evident, right?
It is.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another podcast of Lunch Break with ATI. My name is Cindy Collins. I am one of the co-founders of Actors Theater of Indiana, the professional resident theater company at the Center for the Performing Arts right here in good old Carmel, USA. And today I have with me Mr. Jerry Norman.
Hello.
I love your shirt, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so bright and cheery.
Hey, it's a gloomy day.
Oh, yes, it's a gloomy day. Wednesdays are gloomy, aren't they? I'm kidding. Of course they're not. My sneakers actually match your shirt.
All right.
Look at this.
Goes on with
We
my
can
socks
have it.
and we're
Oh
set.
my God, your socks! I didn't even notice those. Oh my God, you got it going, man. So Jerry's one of our board members, one of the board members of Actors Theater of Indiana, and Jerry, when I don't even know when you came on the board.
I joined. It's been a little over a year.
Okay.
A little over a year.
So, how did you? And I don't even. This is what I know. I don't even know. Did you know someone on our board?
No.
No.
Oddly enough, I
Okay.
went to lunch with Jim and
Jim
Rick
Riley.
McCool from Pedcor. We had
Yes.
lunch to discuss this building.
Okay. Right.
And I just started talking to Jim, and I was telling him what I'd done, where
Right.
I'd been, and he
Right.
just looked at me and he said, "I need you on the board." And that was a dream come true.
Oh, good.
I could not believe I get to be on because I love Actors Theater. Been a season ticket holder for many years,
Thank you.
and I was like, "This is great. This
Yeah,
is great."
yeah,
And ever since then, it's just like this is so fun to be a part of this.
And not always fun, but sometimes challenging. I'm sure.
Yes.
But I guess for the most part, it's something. Actually, if you're going to be on a board, because a board of directors for a not-for-profit are all volunteers. This isn't a for-profit board where you get paid and go to a nice cushy
No.
a convention or a meeting once a year in a great city or something. This is like when you're on the board of a not-for-profit, you are you're expected to be hands-on. You're expected to give what you have to give to the board. That's why you're brought on a board, and so it's not like I said, it's not anything cushy like that. It's you either have to be a worker bee or you gotta put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. There you go.
So it's it kind of like nonprofits when you get on board. Some are more demanding than others.
I would agree.
I've never been on a board myself. I only know from the board at ATI what is asked of you guys sometimes. But I think you really have to, for that, correct me if I'm wrong, you really have to, like you say, you have a passion for the arts.
Oh, yes.
Just
definitely.
talking before the podcast here, you have a real love of live performing arts.
Definitely.
Correct?
Definitely.
So where are you from here?
I am originally from Muncie, but raised in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So, and always had a passion for it, but was scared to death to get in front of people,
Right.
to talk. And at one point I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I thought, well, you have to kind of stand in front of people. So in a way to figure out how can I overcome this, I enrolled in the drama debate and stuff in high school.
Right.
And found out that I kind of liked it, but I shook like a leaf. And
Well, I did too when we started.
I was just scared to death. I'd be beat red, and I couldn't stop
Yeah.
shaking. But I was good at extemporaneous speaking, just doing things off the fly.
Yeah.
And then I took a theater class, and my theater teacher said, "You need to try out for the spring play." I said, "I'm mortified." And I like to say, I got cast. I tried out and I did get cast. I like to say I had a major role.
Wait, which one was that? What was that
Well,
one?
the play was called Two Blind Mice. I played Major Grow, which was a walk-on.
The famous, infamous Two Blind Mice.
Two Blind Mice.
I think it won a Pulitzer.
I think it did.
Yeah.
But I was Major Grow, so I had a major role.
Okay.
And once I did that, and I heard those applause,
Oh, I know.
that's
Very
all
sensitive.
it
It's like you
takes.
catch the bug, yeah.
And my next year is my senior year, and I go walking into that, start of school, and our director was gone. There was some other lady standing there, and I went up and I asked, where was the former director? And she said, "He's gone now. I'm the new theater director." I was like, I'm in trouble. And so I auditioned for a show, and she thought I was the stuck-up senior kid that she better give the lead to. So she did, and the show was Harvey.
And this is Ball State.
This was at Southport High School.
Oh, this is still in high school because you went to Ball State.
I went to Ball State.
Yeah,
yes.
that's another story. But go ahead.
But she cast me in Elwood P. Dowd and Harvey.
Okay, that's
crud.
Great
Play. Yeah, but when
that's
you got
actually
terrified,
wonderful. Yeah.
that show was. Has been a friend of mine now for over 45 years. We still do all of our theater together. And she taught me an awful lot, and it was just so much fun. And again, it was one of those when you went out for the curtain call. It was like, okay, this is. I just found my calling.
I know.
And
then you got to think of all the other stuff that goes with it.
I know.
Yeah. So that's what it is. If you catch the bug, you're like, oh, I love that applause and that laughter or that adulation, and then it's everything else that goes with being an actor in a business, which is very difficult.
But you can take that forward in life, and I have gone back and
that's
spoken.
That's what I was going to say. You're not an actor. You are not in the theater as a professional, but theater helped you, and that's always the point that is just. I mean, I think all the performers try to make this point. You don't have to be in the business, but the performing arts, any arts, the visual arts, the performing arts, helps young people, helps kids move forward, I think, in their life, no matter what they do, where they go, what their actual profession is. It helps. It
helps tremendously. I've gone on to be a marketing director, training director, and I'm known in the industry as we need someone in a costume, we need to do something crazy. I'll do it. But I've gone back to the high school and talked to the students about what the techniques you learn in theater, that if you are in front of a group, you can use a lot of that.
That's right.
And as a trainer, and I trained for 40 plus years, I've spoken at national conventions and things like that. I kind of created a character called Trainer Jer. Well, and when I'm ready to go on, it's like, I assume that role.
You kind of have to. You kind of have to for that too, because you are sending out a certain persona.
Yes.
Right? And I don't think that's out of the ordinary. I think probably everyone who's a public speaker probably does that.
I think we do.
It's very difficult to not do a little bit of that because it's very hard. People don't realize it's very hard to be yourself in front. You are yourself. You're honest, right? But it is difficult. I know for an actor when you have to just be you. You're not playing a character. That's more difficult. There's nothing to hide behind.
Yes.
There's no character to hide behind. There's anything that is like a wig or you can get your costume.
Well, maybe in some cases I've been in all kinds of weird costumes.
No, I know. And you just have to be yourself.
Be yourself.
But you're so, I can see that you can tell that you did that. You did theater, and you continued a little bit at Ball State. I know.
Well, I did, and then, oddly enough, my high school teacher, Linda Owen, she and I, we looked at back in the '80s, living on the South Side. She said, "There's no South Side theater in Indianapolis." So for 5 seasons, we ran South Side Summer Theater, and that was a blast. We didn't have big when you're doing a 1,200 seat auditorium and you got an audience of 50.
Right.
It looks like there's 5 people sitting out there.
Yeah, that does.
But that gave me a chance to keep going with that.
Right.
And I remember to this day where I learned, because I always was what you were talking about. When I was on stage, I was me on stage. I was afraid people would laugh at me.
Right.
I didn't realize I was a character.
Right.
And I did Barefoot in the Park, and I had the role of Paul, my favorite show ever.
That's a great play too.
At one point I was talking, and she was talking about, Paul doing some business off to the side. And I said, Paul wouldn't do that. And she screamed at the top of her lungs after this rehearsal. She said, "My God, you finally got it." She said, "You spoke about your character in the third person." And I was able to finally turn loose and say, that's not Jerry up there on the stage. I get the fun part of being able to assume another character.
That's right.
And do something fun.
Yeah.
And I think that then brought it back into my professional life.
That is, yes.
I was able
to it all
intertwines.
It all, no matter what, something helps you in life.
Yes, very much.
Something. And that's why, it's always upsetting when they're like, well, we're cutting the arts. That's not a necessity. We need to save money, so we're going to cut all the arts. Well, it is a necessity. It's not just a, necessity is like, obviously, necessities are math.
Exactly.
That's a necessity.
Because I use my algebra every day.
English is a necessity. Well, we do speak English.
Yeah, we do.
But everything else, history, all those are necessities, yet the arts are not. It's funny how they think sports is a necessity over the arts. I'm athletic. I'm not saying anything bad about sports, but they sure do get more money.
They get more money, and you're avoiding an entire body of students or the population in general if you're not promoting that. And not everybody can be on stage. And when Linda and I decided to shut down Southside Summer Theater, we did Broadway Bound, and that was a travel group, if you will. And for 19 years, we took students to New York City on theater tours.
Oh, that's
genuine
wonderful.
theater tours, not Big Apple people. I took one more. I took them around the city.
Yeah.
But it was taking them to show them you can be on the stage.
Right.
You can be backstage.
That's right.
A stage crafter. You can be a stage manager.
That's
you can
right.
be makeup and wigs. So we went to all these different places in New York, makeup places, and let them see what that was like.
That's wonderful.
Publishing. If you want to write a play, what's it take to get it published?
Right.
And Linda's very proud of the fact that at least 6 of her students have gone on to be on Broadway.
That's wonderful.
And one of them, he went so far as to be the wig designer and personal hairdresser of Carol Channing. So
and that's a big job.
that's a big job. That was a big job.
That's a biggie.
But it was fun to watch the students, see that there's another aspect that I can use my skill set to do.
Oh,
this.
there's a million different avenues you could take in the entertainment world.
Definitely.
I mean, from administrative, to being an actor.
Right.
I mean, it's such a wide berth, really.
And the actors can't do it without all those people.
Well, nobody can do it without anybody.
Exactly.
Nobody can do it without the other.
Exactly.
Not one person can do it without the other. It's why theater's such a and film and TV. It's a collaboration.
Oh yeah.
All forms of the business of the entertainment world, the dance, dance, opera, symphony, jazz, modern, every you know what I mean?
Right.
Just theater, musical theater. I mean, the list goes on. That it is collaboration.
It is.
And that's what makes it so wonderful. And yeah, like you said, here it is with some kids. They need this, they need that. My point is, don't cut anything.
No.
Don't cut the sports. Don't cut. Keep you have to try to keep everything, because some kids are never going to be on that football team or that softball team or that, and some kids are never even going to ever even take a debate class, even speaking. They don't want to. You must have everything for young people.
Mm-hmm. And I think it helps, or at least it helped me to overcome fear. The fear of being in front of people.
Right.
And it taught me how to present myself.
Yeah.
And I've taken that a long way.
Well, definitely has worked. I mean, you're such a you're just conversation and having conversation with you, and you're very easy, Well, no, you're not easy that way. I don't want to spread that around.
Oh, go ahead.
But that's a different show.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're easy to talk to. You're very good at conversation, and that helps. That easiness, that energy, also the energy. It's your energy is what it is, really, too. And I think that probably the theater helped you with that too.
I know it did, and it was just that. I think I heard you say it on a podcast a few weeks ago about the butterflies. You have to have the butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
I was told teach them to fly in formation. That's cool. But you mentioned that when you
that's good.
You make it happen, but put them to fly.
Oh my gosh, that's really good.
But you mentioned there's a difference between being scared before you go on stage and being nervous.
Totally different.
It is. And if you're scared, that's one thing. But nervous, if you're not nervous before you get in front of people, before we sat down here today or whatever, you're going to fall on your face every time.
Oh, of course. If you don't have some kind of nervous energy or some kind of nervous, you're basically, you're dead.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, why bother?
You're overconfident.
Why bother doing it? Doesn't mean you're not comfortable. It doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing. But you have to have a little bit of that because, and to teach them to fly in formation. That now I'm going to steal that.
You may steal that. I'm sure I got it somewhere.
And use it. And but yeah, and I'm sure when you were, like you said, when you were young, you did have the fear.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right, you were terrified.
Terrified.
And obviously you got over that.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, well, you got over it with the instructors you had, and what you did was you asserted yourself.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, right?
You have to do.
So you almost conquered your fear.
I think for the most part, or at least I got the butterflies to fly in formation most of the time. Because I've used the skill set in so many different ways, and it's been so much fun. Just even the little techniques that you're taught, before you walk out on stage, roll up on the balls of your feet and back down, yawn real big. That works if you're going in for your annual review. Or if you're speaking in front of a group of people, it
I
helps.
agree.
It helps. I think theater
Well, you
teaches
center.
so
You have to
many.
center yourself.
Exactly.
What we call you're centering yourself. You know, and the thing is, I think there's some things like that that are just so simple that have worked. They'll work for. There's certain things that you do for yourself, right? Like you have your own thing. You do.
Right.
I have my own thing. You all do your. Everybody does their own thing. But there are certain things that I think are sold that will always work.
Always work. Always work.
Breathing's a big one. That's an oldie but a goodie.
The other thing I like about theater is, you get to do all these different characters. You do things that you might not do as a person.
Yes.
But later, you'll be in an argument, and you realize, I'm quoting. I've done it barefoot in the park, and later was in a relationship, and they saw the show, and like, that wasn't you the other night. No, it wasn't.
Yes, perfect.
But you learn just different ways to approach things, different ways to do things. And I love going back to the high school and talking to the students.
Yeah, I think that's
talking
nice.
Ball State, I was going
that.
up there and just talking about the different ways you can use your skill set.
Yeah.
And carry it with you. And maybe someday, I'm even still hoping that, you might end up back on the stage someday. You never know.
You know what? Listen, I think the opportunities for people who who are not professional, we're not in the profession, and there's the community theater, or there's the sometimes summer stock will hire non-professionals to do little. I think that's important too. I think there's a place for all of that.
Right, and it doesn't have to be New York. I mean, we've got Broadway in our backyard here with ATI.
Well, you don't. Let me just tell you, being an actor, New York is our hub.
Yes.
That's about 1% of theater happens in New York, in this country. It's all the regional theaters. I mean, that's where we all work. Everybody works at mostly percentage. You're working regionally.
Yes.
That's where you're working. If you get to do a show in the city, which I loved when I could stay home and do a show, that's great. But that's not the norm.
Right.
You're touring, you're on a national tour, you're on tours, or you're working at a regional theater. And that's the employment.
That's bringing New York to the local level.
That's right.
Because a trip to New York is not cheap anymore. Never was, but it's not cheap anymore. A Broadway show, a blockbuster show, is going to cost upwards of $250.
The ticket pricing is absolutely outrageous, in my opinion. And the thing is, as an actor, I just was home like about 2 weeks ago, right? And I didn't have time. I just was in Jersey. I didn't have time to go into the city and see anything. But what I go see is I'll go see the plays.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like.
Because a lot of times, and especially I think recently, they are better.
Oh, yes.
They're better.
Yes.
I think there's the splashy stuff for the tourists. No offense, go and support any, all live theater. But for me as an actor, I go and I'll see the plays.
Go off Broadway, go things like that.
Well, a lot of times the off-Broadway stuff is better.
Because
it's real theater. It's
shows.
the theater. You're going to see theater. You're not going to see a spectacle. And that's just me.
I agree, and I like the quality of things like Actors Theater, the local regional theaters, because, like I said, not everyone can go to New York, but they still get to see that show and experience that, and maybe it sparks something in them.
I agree. I think that's why regional theaters that's, like I said, that's most of the employment in this country for actors. And it's like summer stock tours regional.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the, if you get a production contract, which is what Broadway is, that's a production contract. That's like I said, that's about 1% of our union. That's about 1% of the actors in our union getting that. You would think it was more, but it's not.
No.
And so, it's just the way it is. That's why it's wonderful but it's too bad because certain theaters in the country are closing.
The pandemic.
The pandemic really, boy, I'll tell you, we really took a hit with that. And there are theaters that are closing, and I was like, they're closing? I can't believe it.
I've read some of those articles that, like I said, the big name theaters that you've always known, they've always been there, and they're cutting way back, they're cutting productions or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of scary.
It's terrifying.
The theater's been around from the dark ages. We won't go away. We just have to figure out a way to reinvent ourselves maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I think people are trying to do that, and I think this, sometimes it's like you're running out of ideas that, it's like, how it's this constant, seems to be, for theaters in this country, it's a constant battle.
How you find new audiences, maintain the ones you have.
Yeah.
When you think about it, if you go to a blockbuster movie right now,
Right.
by the time you buy the movie, the popcorn, that's a necessity.
You have to have that.
The Cokes
I
to go
agree
with
with you.
it.
You have to have
And
the
then,
popcorn.
Yeah, without that, you can't go to a movie. You do all of that, you've more than spent possibly the same price to get live entertainment.
That's correct. I agree with you.
And you and I were talking before the broadcast started. I love television, especially situation comedies.
Of course.
I've been ingrained in those all my life. But I know, too, that scene didn't go in one take.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I look and think, wonder how many times they had to, especially things like Golden Girls or whatever.
Oh,
how many times did they have to do that before they could get through it without laughing?
Of course.
But in live theater, you don't get to stop and say, excuse me, I want to go back and come in again. You have to figure out how to keep on. That teaches you to think on your feet.
Well, it does. And that's, in my opinion, that's why when we were talking about all those stage actors and all those people that came up through vaudeville and stage actors, and then were on those sitcoms in the 60s and 70s when it exploded, and they all did, like Agnes Moorehead we were talking about, which you have to tell me real quick how Agnes Moorehead was Samantha's mother on Bewitched. She was a wonderful stage actor, and her film work is fantastic too.
Gosh.
And she was, and then that was the last thing she did, was playing that on a sitcom. And a lot of them took those jobs because they were good jobs.
They were good jobs. And
they were good money and good jobs, and they were getting older in their careers. And a lot of those people took those jobs, and that's why me growing up, I saw all those great actors on those shows. They were my favorite characters. So how are you related to Agnes Moorehead? Quick.
I'm not real sure the exact connection. I know it's on my grandmother on my mother's side. Somewhere
What was
back
your
in there.
great aunt or their cousins?
I think it was a cousin or
like,
something like that.
There's always those second or third cousins intertwined in there, right?
Yes. If I don't know where the limbs are in the family tree, I know there are some. But it's somewhere off to that side over there. And I found that out totally by happenstance, I guess you could say. And it made me laugh because, yes, she was from the Dayton, Ohio area. That's where my grandmother was from, just outside that, Winchester, Indiana.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'll be darned. How about that? And someone, so that explains a lot of your character, Jerry.
Yes. You're going to go disappear.
I will.
You're going to poof.
Or next time you're on a plane,
Durwood.
look out the window of the plane. I'll wave at you.
Call him Durwood. She used to call
Durwood.
Durwood. Dinsmore. She never called him right.
Nope. Which was part of the fun.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I would have loved to have seen those shows. And they've done that in the past few years. Like Will and Grace did a couple of those where they did live.
They do live.
I think
and
that's
if you
hysterical.
watch that again, here's another, watch that, and you'll see who the stage actors are.
Yes.
Megan Mullally is a stage actress, musical theater. She never missed a beat.
Exactly.
And who plays Jack?
Sean
Hayes, another stage actor.
Megan.
Okay? You just watch that again, and you'll see who can do live. Who do live exceptionally.
That takes some work. And I watched the director's cut of Mamma Mia with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
And of course that has some big names in it. And Christine Baranski, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And when you're doing the director's cut, he's talking about, you can see the stage actor. He said their gestures are larger.
Well.
And he said, watch the scene, and I think it's when the character that Christine Baranski plays gets out of the boat. She's walking on the pier, and she gets her heel caught between the boards. He said, obviously that wasn't in the script.
Right.
But she was a stage actress, and she knew how to keep on going.
He
said, I didn't have to retake it.
Yeah,
And he said, there were a couple scenes I said, guys, we can't rehearse this. Can we do it on one take? And they're like, sure. So there's a difference there, because you don't have the ability to back up and say, I don't like that. I mean, maybe the next night you can deliver the line.
Yeah, well, that's when you're in previews and you're still in rehearsals, and
Exactly.
you're getting your notes. You know what I mean? But anyway, all right. I'm going to wrap it up.
Yes.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
With Mr. Jerry Norman, thank you for being on the board.
Thank you.
For Actors Theater of Indiana, and giving your time and your talent and your energy for a not-for-profit. It's very important. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
You're an awesome guy.
Oh, thank
We
you.
really, at board meetings, we've spoken a little bit when I used to go to board meetings, and but not a lot. This is the most I've ever spoken to you.
No, I watched you on the stage and sat in the audience and just laughed at you. Now I get to sit next to you.
That's how I like it. So, but thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for watching today. Lunch Break with ATI. I'm Cindy Collins, one of the co-founders of Actors Theater of Indiana, and we'll see you next time. Might be me. Who knows?
Who knows?
Might not be. We don't know. It's always it's always a surprise here at ATI. Keeps you on your feet. Keeps us on our toes, keeps you on your toes. Thanks so much. Toodaloo.